Let me ask you something. How many times have you let someone ruin your entire day with just one comment? One glance, one text, one disrespectful tone. And boom, suddenly, your peace is gone. Your mind is spinning. You're angry. You're drained. And the worst part? They probably moved on, but you're still carrying it. Here's the truth most people never learn. You can train your mind to become unbothered. You can learn how to never get angry, not because you've become numb, but because you've become powerful, strong, in control. He who angers you conquers you, Elizabeth Kenny. Today I'm going to teach you how to stop giving people that power over you, how to stay calm when others lose their minds, how to walk through chaos with peace in your chest and silence on your tongue. Let's get into it. Understand this first. Anger is a reaction, not a requirement. Let's start here, because if you don't get this part, nothing else will stick. Anger is a reaction, but it's not a requirement. It's not automatic. It's not something that just happens to you. It's something you allow, something you choose, whether you realize it or not. See, most people live on autopilot. Something upsets them, and they explode. Someone disrespects them, and they lash out. Their peace is like a leaf in the wind, blown around by every person who walks by. But what they don't understand is this. You are not a puppet. You are not a slave to your emotions. You don't have to react the same way every time someone pushes your buttons. And that's the key. You have buttons because you've never disarmed them. You've never stepped back and asked yourself, why does this get to me? Why does this person's opinion ruin my whole day? Here's the truth. People will test you. They'll be rude. They'll be careless. They'll be insensitive. You can't control that, but you can control how long they live in your head. Think about this. What if you paused and said, wait a minute, do I really want to let this moment steal my energy? Do I really want to hand over my peace to someone who doesn't even value it? Because that's what happens every time you get angry without thinking. You're handing your mood, your focus, your mental clarity to someone who might not even remember what they said 5 minutes later. Let me say it clearly. You cannot live a strong, peaceful life if every fool has access to your emotions. You've got to learn to pause. You've got to learn to observe without absorbing. You've got to learn to see the fire without walking into it. Here's a shift I want you to make. When something triggers you, instead of reacting like, they made me angry, say this instead: I felt anger rise, but I chose peace. Because that's the difference between those who stay stuck and those who grow. Those who stay stuck, they believe every emotion must be acted on. But those who grow, they know that emotion is just a signal, not a command. And you can feel it. A spark of anger, a hit of frustration, a wave of hurt. But that doesn't mean you have to swim in it. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is nothing. Just breathe. Just pause. Just stand still in your strength. Because that's how you build real power. Not by controlling the world, but by mastering your response to it. So the next time someone cuts you off, the next time someone talks behind your back, the next time life doesn't go your way, remember this: you don't have to react. You get to choose. And in that choice, that's where your peace lives. That's where your strength grows. That's where the calm version of you, the wise version, the disciplined version, starts to rise. You can't stop the storms from coming, but you can stop letting them control your sky. 2. Detach your ego from every interaction. If you really want to stop getting angry, stop getting bothered. Stop feeling like everyone has the power to ruin your day. This is a truth you must learn. It's not about you. Let me repeat that. It's not about you. Most of the time when people are rude, negative, or disrespectful, it has nothing to do with you. But your ego doesn't believe that. Your ego wants to take everything personally. Your ego says, how dare they talk to me like that? Do they know who I am? Why didn't they acknowledge me? Why didn't they say thank you? Your ego is fragile. It needs constant validation. It needs applause. It needs to be right. It needs to win. And when it doesn't get what it wants, it explodes. But here's the hard truth. Your ego is your weakest self, pretending to be strong. It's that little voice that always needs to be respected, It needs to be noticed. It needs revenge when someone steps out of line. But guess what? The more you feed your ego, the more power you give other people over your peace. Because now every conversation becomes a test of your worth. Now every disagreement feels like a personal attack. Now every bad driver, every ignored text, every unreturned favor becomes fuel for offense and overreaction. And all of it, it's unnecessary. It's emotional poison. You're letting your ego trap you in a cage of constant reaction. So what's the alternative? Detach your ego from the outcome. Detach your identity from every opinion. Detach your self-worth from the way someone treats you on a random Tuesday. You've got to learn to walk through life with confidence, not ego. See, confidence is quiet. It says, I know who I am. You don't have to validate me. I don't need to win this argument to feel secure. I don't need to prove my point to feel powerful. Confidence doesn't chase respect. It commands it through calm. Confidence doesn't explode when it's challenged. It listens, it observes, it responds only when necessary. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're walking through a park and a child yells something rude at you. Would you explode? Would you scream back? Would you go home angry? Of course not. You'd probably smile, maybe shake your head and move on. Why? Because you know that child doesn't define you. Their opinion doesn't touch your worth. Now here's the question. Why don't we treat adults the same way? Because your ego tells you they should know better. They should respect you. They should behave the way you want. But guess what? They don't. And they won't. People will always be people. They'll project, they'll misunderstand, they'll act out of their own pain, fear, or insecurity. So instead of clinging to your ego, trying to force the world to meet your expectations, detach. Choose peace over pride. Choose self-respect over ego battles. Choose to see beyond the moment. Because the moment you stop letting your ego lead, you stop giving strangers the keys to your mood. You stop letting someone's bad day become your bad day. You stop fighting battles that aren't even worth your time. When you master detachment, people can't rattle you like they used to. They'll wonder why their usual tactics don't work anymore. They'll wonder how you stay so calm, so unbothered, so composed. And the answer? You outgrown your ego. You've chosen peace. You've taken your power back. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's strength most people never reach. And once you get there, you'll wonder why you ever gave so many people the power to disturb your inner world in the first place. 3. Recognize the pattern. Most people are reacting to their own pain. Let's take a deeper look at something most people miss. When someone disrespects you, mocks you, ignores you, lashes out at you, it's almost never about you. Read that again. It's about them, their pain, their past, their pattern. And unless you understand this, you will constantly take things personally that were never personal to begin with. Let me explain it to you this way. Imagine someone bumps into you on the street. They don't say sorry. They glare at you and keep walking. Now your ego says, what's their problem? You're tempted to get angry, to yell, to make a scene. But what if you knew that person just lost their job, or their marriage is falling apart, or they haven't slept in 3 nights and they're hanging by a thread? Would you still be mad? You see, the moment you understand why someone acts a certain way, your anger often disappears. Because now it's not personal, it's perspective. Now I'm not saying you should let people walk all over you. I'm not saying rudeness is okay. I'm saying that how someone treats you is a reflection of who they are, not who you are. And once you see that clearly, you stop playing their game. You start to see patterns. You start to see that the loudest person in the room is often the most insecure. The most critical person is often the most broken, the one who needs to tear others down. That's someone who feels powerless inside. You begin to realize that anger is almost always a mask, covering fear, shame, loneliness, trauma. So when someone comes at you sideways, you don't absorb it. You don't carry it around for the rest of the day. You say, that's not mine, that belongs to them. Because here's what emotionally intelligent people understand. Hurt people. That's not just a quote. It's a pattern. And when you recognize it, you get your peace back. Let me tell you a little story. There was a man who worked in customer service. Every day, people would call and yell at him, curse at him, insult him. And one day someone asked him, how do you stay so calm? Doesn't it bother you? He smiled and said, I used to take it personally, but then I realized they're not yelling at me. They're yelling at the situation. They're yelling at their own stress, their own life falling apart. I'm just the person who happened to answer the phone. That's wisdom. Now apply that to your life. That person who gave you attitude. Maybe they're battling something you'll never see. That friend who betrayed you. Maybe they never learned how to love or trust properly. That coworker who keeps trying to outshine you. Maybe they've been invisible their whole life, and they're just desperate to matter. It doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it explains it. An explanation brings you peace. Because now you're free. You stop asking, why did they say that to me? And start asking, what must they be carrying that made them mad? That shift is emotional freedom. It turns anger into understanding. It turns resentment into distance. It turns stress into wisdom. Because at the end of the day, you cannot control what people carry into your space. But you can control whether or not you carry it with you. So the next time someone snaps at you, the next time someone lies, criticizes or belittles, stop, breathe, and remember, this isn't about me. This is about them. I choose not to carry their storm into my calm. That's real strength. Master the pause. Your power lives in the space between stimulus and response. Let me share something that can literally change your life, if you take it seriously. Between what happens to you and how you respond, there is a space, a moment, a pause. And in that pause lives your power. Most people don't even realize it exists. They go through life reacting impulsively, emotionally, automatically. Someone disrespects them. They lash out. Someone criticizes them. They snap. Someone pushes a button. They explode. No pause. No control. No power. Just reaction. And here's the brutal truth. If you can't master the pause, you will always be a slave to your emotions. But if you can master that pause, even for just a few seconds, you go from reactive to intentional. You go from emotional to powerful. That's what separates the calm, composed people from the ones who constantly feel attacked. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone says something rude to you in public, something that feels like a shot to your dignity. Your body reacts instantly. Your heart races. Your mind screams, say something back. Put them in their place. But you don't. You pause. You breathe. You ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this who I want to be right now? And just like that, you take your power back. Now the situation doesn't control you. You control yourself. That pause, that tiny moment where you stop, even for 2 seconds, that's the space where emotional maturity is built. That's the space where growth happens. That's the space where anger dies and peace is born. It's what Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, meant when he said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Think about that. Growth, freedom, strength. They don't live in your emotions. They live in your choices. And your choices live in that pause. So how do you train it? You start small. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Pause. Breathe. Don't chase. Don't honk. Just let it go. Someone gives you attitude at work. Pause. Don't get defensive. Don't prove a point. Just smile and move on. Someone ignores your message. Pause. Don't spiral. Don't beg. Respect your time and keep your dignity. And over time, that pause becomes your shield. It becomes your strength. It doesn't mean you never speak up. It doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you choose how and when to respond. It means you respond from wisdom. It means you respond from wisdom, not impulse, from confidence, not insecurity. And that's the difference between someone who's constantly reactive and someone who owns every room they walk into. The truth is, the world will test you. People will push your buttons on purpose. Life will send you stress, setbacks, and provocations. But the person who can pause, who can observe without absorbing, who can respond instead of react, that's the person who wins. That's the person who keeps their power no matter what's thrown at them. Because anyone can react. That takes no effort. But it takes discipline to pause. It takes strength to breathe through it. And it takes wisdom to respond with clarity instead of chaos. So remember this. Every time you pause, you level up. Every time you pause, you grow stronger. Every time you pause, you prove you are not ruled by emotion. You are ruled by purpose. And that's the mindset that makes you unshakable. 5. Don't try to control people. Control your access. Let me say something that might challenge you, but it could also free you. You will never have control over people. Not their words, not their actions, not their opinions. And the more you try to control people, the more frustrated, angry, and powerless you will feel. But you do have control over one thing: access. Who you let into your life, how close they get, how much energy, time, and presence you give them. See, here's where most people go wrong. They spend their energy trying to change people instead of choosing their boundaries. They say, I wish he would stop being so disrespectful. I wish she would support me. I wish they would treat me better. But wishing doesn't work. Trying to fix people doesn't work. Begging for change doesn't work. What works is taking control of your acts. Because here's the truth. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to stay in every relationship just because it has history. You don't have to tolerate disrespect just because someone shares your blood or shares your offer. You get to decide who gets your peace. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine your life as a house. Not everyone deserves a key. Not everyone gets to walk in and sit on your couch, track mud on your floors, and criticize your furniture. Some people need to be kept at the front door, some at the gate, and some don't even need directions to your neighborhood. But the problem is, too many people are handing out keys to everyone, to people who drain them, to people who belittle them, to people who take advantage of their kindness. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted, angry, or disrespected. It's not always about who someone is. Sometimes it's about how close you've let them get. You don't fix toxic by fighting with it. You fix it by stepping back from it. And no, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to make a dramatic exit or write a long message. Sometimes silence is enough. Distance is the answer, and peace is your reward. Let me be clear. You are not cold for protecting your peace. You are not mean for setting boundaries. You are not selfish for choosing mental clarity over emotional chaos. You are responsible for your energy. You are responsible for your space. You are responsible for your life. So stop trying to control people. Let them be who they are. If they're kind, great. Welcome them in. If they're toxic, negative, or disrespectful, limit your access. You don't owe closeness to anyone who disturbs your peace. That's not pride. That's wisdom. That's not avoidance. That's emotional intelligence. Because once you learn this truth, once you stop trying to control how people behave and start controlling how much you engage, you win back your power. You stop chasing respect and start commanding it through your standard. You stop reacting to disrespect and start making room only for those who know how to treat you. So remember, you don't need to control anyone. You just need to control your gate. You are the gatekeeper of your life. Choose wisely who gets access. Decide who you want to be, then practice it every day. Let's get to the heart of it. If you don't know who you are, the world will tell you. It will shape you. It will mold you into whatever gets the loudest reaction. And that's a dangerous way to live, because it means your identity is in the hands of everyone else. You can't stay emotionally strong if you haven't clearly decided who you want to be. See, most people spend their time reacting instead of becoming. They let people's opinions pull them left and right. They let anger shape their behavior. They let disrespect dictate their energy. But real growth, where maturity, begins when you say, this is who I choose to be, no matter what comes at me. Ask yourself right now, who do you want to be when life gets hard? Who do you want to be when someone pushes your buttons? Who do you want to be when you're tempted to act out of emotion? Do you want to be calm, controlled, focused? Do you want to be the type of person who walks away from drama instead of diving into it? Do you want to be someone who responds with clarity, not chaos? Then you have to decide that. You have to build that identity brick by brick through practice. Here's the hard truth. You don't become unshakable by reading quotes or watching a video once. You become unshakable by practicing your chosen identity every single day. It's like going to the gym. You don't lift once and get strong. You train. You show up even when you don't feel like it. It's the same with emotional strength. You have to practice patience. You have to practice peace. You have to practice restraint. And yes, you're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to get angry. You're going to overreact. But don't let that make you give up. That's part of the process. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Each time you choose to act from your highest self instead of your lowest emotion, you grow stronger. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to be someone who stays calm under pressure. Well, every time a situation triggers you, you have a choice. You can act out of habit or act out of your vision. You can say, This always makes me angry. Or you can say, this is a test, and I'm practicing who I want to become. Because that's what growth is. It's daily practice, not random inspiration. Don't just wish to be better. Practice being better. Don't just want peace. Train yourself to respond like someone who values peace. And here's a powerful mindset shift. Every difficult person, every annoying situation, every trigger is a chance to train. Someone cuts you off in traffic, training. A coworker talks behind your back, training. A family member tests your patience again, training. All of it is a chance to align with your identity, and when you treat life that way, you stop reacting like a victim and start responding like a leader. So I'll ask you again, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the calm one, the grounded one, the one who leads by example? Then you've got to practice that today, and tomorrow, and the next day, until it becomes who you are. Because the most powerful people aren't the ones who have never been triggered. They're the ones who've trained themselves not to be ruled by it. So make the decision, choose the identity, then live it, one moment at a time. 7. Learn the art of inner dialogue. Speak to yourself, not just to others. Let me ask you something honest. If someone talked to you the way you talk to yourself, would you consider them a friend or an enemy? Most people don't realize this, but the most powerful conversations you'll ever have are the ones you have with yourself. Not out loud, not in front of others, but in the quiet spaces, when no one's watching, no one's listening, and your mind is speaking to your soul. That inner dialogue, that's what shapes how you respond life. And here's what most people get wrong. They focus so much on what to say to others, but spend zero time mastering what they say to themselves. You want to know how to never get angry or bothered? You want to know how to take calm when everything's pushing you to react? Then you must start managing your self-talk. Because let me tell you, when someone disrespects you, your reaction isn't automatic. It's based on the story you tell yourself in that moment. For example, let's say someone ignores your message. Do you immediately say to yourself, they must not care, I'm not important, people always treat me this way? Or do you say, they might be busy, it's not personal, I control how I feel, not them? That internal voice, it's everything. It's the difference between rising above and spiraling down. Think of your inner dialogue as your own personal coach. You're either training yourself to stay grounded or tearing yourself down with every reaction, every overthinking moment, every self-inflicted doubt. And the key here is to train your inner voice. Don't let it run wild. Most people's minds are like an untrained dog, barking at every sound, reacting to every movement, chasing every emotion. You've got to become the trainer. You've got to teach your mind to pause, to breathe, to speak from wisdom, not insecurity. Here's a practice that works wonders. Whenever something triggers you, before you speak out loud, speak to yourself. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? What story am I telling myself about this? What would the strongest, calmest version of me do right now? And then listen, because your answers are there. They always have been. You just need to start hearing them. You see, your power doesn't lie in what you say to the world. It lies in what you whisper to yourself in the hard moments. And if you've spent years feeding yourself negative thoughts, I'm not good enough, people always use me, why me? Then it's time to break that pattern. It's time to rewrite your script. Start saying things like, I decide how I feel. I don't chase reactions. I protect my peace. This moment doesn't define me. My response does. And the more you speak to yourself that way, the more natural it becomes. The more automatic, the more powerful. You stop being at the mercy of the world and start becoming the master of your emotions. Remember, anger is a message, but peace is a language. If you want peace in your life, you must start speaking that language to yourself first. Because if you don't lead your own mind, someone else will, and they won't lead it where you want to go. So today, make a new decision. Be your own guide. Speak strength into yourself. Speak calm into your chaos. Speak power into your pauses. And when the world tries to shake you, you'll have a voice inside that says, I've got this. I'm in control. I know who I am. Closing. Become the one who's unshakable. So let me leave you with this. You don't have to be at the mercy of your emotion. You don't have to lose your peace every time someone else loses their manners.
You don't have to let other people control your mood, your mind, or your momentum. You were born with more power than every day. Life will give you opportunities to react, to get angry, to snap back, to let someone else dictate your energy. And every day, you also have the chance to choose differently, to pause, to breathe, to rise above. You can be the calm in the storm. You can be the one who responds with wisdom, not weakness. You can be the one who leads, not pleads. You can be the one who walks away from chaos, with your head high and your peace untouched. And no, it won't be easy. It takes discipline. It takes practice. It takes courage. But if you do the work, if you train your mind, build your awareness, master the pause, and speak strength into your soul, then you'll no longer fear the opinions, the attitudes, or the disrespect of others, because they won't own you anymore. You will own yourself, and that's the goal, isn't it? Not just to look strong, but to be strong. Not just to seem calm, but to live calm. Not to avoid conflict, but to transcend it. So the next time someone tries to pull you into drama, remember who you are. Not a reactor, a responder, not a prisoner of emotion, but a master of it. Now go live that truth. Start today, because the strongest version of you is waiting. And from now on, you don't get angry, you stay powerful.